everybody, welcome back to my channel, So Fast So Young. I'm Morgan. So today I want to talk about a project that I've been working on for a little bit here. Last year during the pandemic, I was given some fabric by my mother-in-law to make her a cloak, is what she asked. She said that she had this Irish tweed, I think it was, that she had and wanted a cloak made out of it. She didn't really give me a lot of details, but I was like, sure, you know, that's fine. I can totally do that. So she sends me the tweed. It's beautiful, by the way. Let me grab it. It's this lovely, isn't this just such a beautiful blue? Let me see if we can get it to focus up close. It's got all of these lovely like colors and specks inside of it, right? With the green and the purple and the like blue base. I absolutely love it. So she sends me it. There's about 4 yards of it, but the tricky part is it's only 30 inches wide. Like not even 45. It's only 30. So I spent a little bit of time looking for a good pattern to use for this. And she really wanted, originally she said she wanted like a really long cloak with a hood and everything. And I was like, okay, well, if there's enough fabric, well, you know, I'll do what I can. And since it definitely turned out there was not enough fabric, I had to really start rethinking. So what I settled on was this simplicity pattern. I actually started hand draping some stuff. Like I cut like a 30 inch panel of muslin and whatnot, and I started playing with some shapes and whatnot. And I ended up with something really close to this. And then I was like, oh, maybe I should look for a pattern, see if there's something that I could find that would work well. And lo and behold, found this. I'm really excited to get to work on it. I also purchased some really lovely taffeta to line it, so let me grab that. So I'm going to line it with this really pretty taffeta. It's going to be a really fun cloak. I'm trying to get it done fairly quickly. We're going to be meeting them soon. This video is coming out definitely afterwards, so there might be other videos that come out before this. I'm not really sure. So I'm going to be able to do a variation on this one with the pocket. So I'm going to be able to put the pockets on. I think I'm going to have enough to do a small hood. That one's going to be a little trickier. I'm going to lay everything out. I had a chunk left when I did it the first time, when I did the rough layout, and I think I should be able to get a hood. It might be very, very close, like lengthwise. That's the big thing. So I'm going to see if I can be a little more careful as I lay out the pattern this time around. Here is the layout that I decided to go with. I did try a couple other options. If I feel like it, I might put in the time-lapse footage of that. I might not. But this is what I decided would end up working best. So fabric is actually folded on this end, and then over here is actually where the double layer ends. So the hood pieces that are like my little mock-up hood, they're sitting on a single layer at that end. And then I had to, the back, which is over here, I had to put seam allowance. So there's about 1/2 inch seam allowance there. It was supposed to be cut on the fold. I did attempt a layout where I tried to cut it on the fold of the fabric, but then the rest of the pieces did not want to fit. So I was able to put in a 1/2 inch seam allowance there and still have everything else fit. We're going to be really close, like right here, where the two pieces meet. There might be a little cutoff in the seam allowance of the front piece, which is this one over here. But hey, you know, it's better than nothing. So this is the basic layout. I'm going to go ahead and cut this all out, and then I'm going to lay those pieces on the taffeta, cut out the taffeta, and then start sewing. I do also have to interface the center front. I've got that piece separate elsewhere. Okay, so I'm just really quick going to talk about, I'm going to now cut out the body and the taffeta. I'm going to do the hood last because I need to figure out a couple of things with that. So I'm going to go ahead and cut out the body, get that done. I have the scrap left over from the other piece for the hood. I did a really good job of cutting this out with minimal excess. I'm trying to decide if I want to line the pockets with this. Oops, as I take that away from my face. Trying to decide if I want to line the pockets with this. Like right now they're self-facing. It goes in and then they have like a little folder or flap that's just a cute sort of decorative look and helps you roll in the seam allowance. I was almost considering completely bagging them out with this in the bottom half so that there's like something soft there a little bit, and just as a little like peekaboo. So I might do that. I'm going to look a little bit better at the instructions and make sure that that's not actually what I'm supposed to do. I don't think it is, but it could also look really cute. That might be happening. I did just want to say, so all of this fabric, especially because the tweed is a wool, I did do a small burn test to make sure that it was actually real wool and didn't have any other fiber content in it. And then the taffeta also is like a specialty. It's a stretch taffeta. So I ironed both pieces before starting all of this. That's the pre-shrinking that I'm going to do. So if you can't pre-shrink in the wash machine, if you've got something you can't wash in the wash machine and pre-shrink with your iron on high and heavy steam. Within reason, you know, don't iron something that will melt, but on a super high heat. But, you know, iron it on a high enough heat that it takes care of any shrinkage. I've had stuff like literally shrink before my eyes. So that's cut out now, and let's get to sewing. I'm going to talk for a second about pressing wool. The trick when pressing wool is you don't actually want to like put the iron right on it. It can be a little bit too much. Sometimes you'll get shiny wool where it's like actually shined the fabric. It happens more with like a poly wool blend, but you can still have it happen with the wool where it sort of like changes the natural finish. This is a really, I did test this already. I can put the iron directly on it without impacting too much of the feel, but like on seams and stuff, I don't want, from the outside, I don't want it very obvious that there's a seam. Sometimes when you press like straight with steam and stuff, like you'll see the ridges. If you're doing wool, it's best to have something called a clapper. Now I only have this, which is not a very good one. This came as part of a set with my tailoring. This is my tailor, it's a Dritz Tailors point thing. This helps you press all sorts of different stuff. It helps you press like that curve is for shoulders, these different things. Like this helps you get in points. You can really press hard with this. I want to get a better one. This is very, very lightweight. The nice thing is it does literally live there with a little magnet. So it doesn't come out. Like, kind of has this silly little magnet thing there. Anyways, so the clapper, which I non-ceremoniously threw on the floor. Clapper is usually a heavier piece of wood. Ones that I've worked with in the past are usually like a piece of wood like this thick and kind of rounded on both ends. And they got some weight to them. This isn't very, but it still works. A lot of it also has to do with how much you put behind it. I usually start kind of finger pressing things open. Okay, so you take your steamer, your iron. See, I'm not touching it, filling it full of steam. Put that down, you come in with your clapper like that. And it really helps. Again, if it's one of the bigger blocks, it's a little heavier. I think it works a little bit better. This one's kind of a dinky clapper. But you can already see that where I did that, it's laying flatter, it's laying more open. So you do that a few times, you flip it over, do it on the other side, you end up with a really nice don't let my iron fall off. You'll end up with a really nice, clean, pressed seam. And like I said, you can do this with a pressing cloth over it as well if you have a more delicate wool. But you could see where I only came this close. I'm not actually all the way down on there. Now I'm short on steam again. And the more I do it, the flatter it's gonna get. And the same with the other side, especially if I do it from the other side and let, after I've clapped it, let gravity sit and really push that flat. So that's clapper and dealing with wool and an iron. Right now I've got this back piece all together. Right now I'm just letting it hang. It doesn't have a lot of bias, but I might get a little growth here on this side. There could, in theory, be some growth here. I just want to like let it hang for a while I put together the front. It's so lovely. Look at how pretty this lining is. It's gonna be the prettiest. That's all I have to say. Just giving you a little quick update. Alright, what I want to explain right now is how I'm going to use Tailors Tacks to mark pocket placement. So there's a pocket here. There's another one down here. There's a little pocket up top and one down at the bottom. Bottom one goes over 2 sections. So I could mark this with chalk if I wanted to. That would also be easy as well. But I'm going to use a method called Tailors Tacks, where you take a piece of bright contrasting thread, and you're just basically gonna go through all the layers, boop, back up through all the layers. You're gonna leave extra thread top and bottom. Gonna snip that off. That needle. So I've got, then I can separate in here, clip between these 2 layers, and now I have visible tacks that go all the way through, that I know exactly where my pocket's going to get placed. It's just a little more precise, so I can do that. And it's also a nice way to do it in one fell swoop. Occasionally you do have a fabric that you don't want to get chalk or wax on for whatever reason. I enjoy using tailoring tacks for that. Or maybe it's a fabric that's going to be handled a lot, and I want something that I know isn't going to move out of the way too much. So let me try to do this without bumping the camera too much. So I'm just going to put my needle down through, go under. You can kind of find a spot right next to it, go back through. It's back through right next to the thread here, so it's not really all that far away. I just like to make sure that I have some extra thread on both sides. Snip it, pull them apart a little bit, and snip. Now I got 2 tacks where those, so now this is my right side, so this is where my little pocket's gonna line up. So I want to talk really quick about the pocket. So this is the pocket. The pattern had 2 pieces. So I'm trying to do this without bumping the camera too much. The pattern had this is the pocket, and then you interfaced this, turned it out, and then just pressed everything back to, you know, make the pocket, and then folded it so that it looked like that. Okay. However, I wanted to get a little bit fancier. So what I chose to do, it's fancy and it also helps me. I cut a piece of the lining, and I'm going to pin it together like this so that I've got the lining. So this I serged. This is the little flap. I serged this edge. Then I'm going to lay that on there. I'm going to lay this here and pin this all together. I drew my stitching line. I drew my stitching line so that I could get really nice curves. I'm going to stitch all the way around. This helps me so that I have really nice sharp corners all the way around. Like that. Okay. Then I'm going to turn it through here. I already stitched this one shut. I should have waited. To show you. I turned it through here and then just top stitched this close, top stitched around everything, and then I'm going to stitch it on. This was just me pressing it and leaving it to cool with pins in it. But yeah, so this actually makes a nice little pocket. Then you see you've got the you've got your corners all nice and done. And so then I can just place this and top stitch it. And then there's a nice cute little lining inside the pocket. And yeah, Okay, so here I have it stitched together. I'm going to go ahead and trim this all down to a much smaller seam allowance. And then on the corners, I like to go ahead and just trim it to even skinnier seam allowance. You can go in and you can do your like pie cuts, but sometimes depending on what it is, I don't want to pie cut into this because I don't want this to come unraveled. So trimming it down to like just under a 1/4 inch is a little bit less likely to unravel than doing pie cuts, personally. Now that's just my opinion and from personal experience dealing with wools. I like to kind of grade the seam. So here's a close-up of the graded seam here. So I've cut it. Let me manual focus this. Why is this only manual focusing? I changed some settings somewhere. I need to fix that. So when you turn it out, the longer side will kind of help soften, smooth it out. Yeah. Anyways, I'm going to go ahead and turn this out now. And while I'm doing that, I'm going to pause. So we're going to go ahead and turn this out. I like to use, you can use your fingers, you can use a turning tool, whatever. I'm just going to work all of these edges out as much as I can. Try to make sure that it's correct. I don't know where my turning tool went as I sit here, but the camera is now in my way, so I can't just go looking for my turning tool. I try to be really careful with pointy things because I don't want to accidentally pull the, I don't want to accidentally pull out any of the fibers and unweave anything. But so now I have pretty nice round corners on all of them because of how I set that up. Go press that. It will end up being, once it's pressed, it should be the same size as this one. Because of how I layered it, it goes inside. I'll press it, do the stay stitch all the way around, stay stitch across here. Because you don't have to if you don't want to. If you wanted an extra secret pocket, could be a fun thing. But then I probably should have finished this edge. My plan is to press it down, or to stitch it down. And then that will get sewn on where I made the Tailors Tacks earlier on the coat front. You know how I was talking about the like direction of these lines? At some point I must have swapped these around, and these are actually going the opposite direction of the entire coat. But it's okay because all of my pockets are now going the opposite direction of the entire coat. So it makes it look like I did it on purpose to kind of like offset and change up the path. So this is one of the little pockets. This gets placed here at the top of the, this is the top right above the little arm slit, and then the other one is going to get placed down here where these two tacks are, Tailors Tacks. So those are the Tailors Tacks. They can stay in place. That's the nice thing is like when I iron it, unlike wax, they don't disappear. So, but this is all top stitched on right. I just stitched right along the stitching line that I had already put in here to reinforce that. You can see what I was saying about, I don't know if you can see actually. Let's see if we can zoom in. See what I was saying about how these lines all went this way and the lines of all my pockets are going this way. So it's fine because it looks intentional, especially because all of the pockets are like that. But I noticed it too late to like flip it on the pockets. Yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and throw those other pockets on. Then I'll attach these front pieces to the back piece. Attach the lining down the front. I'll probably understitch the very front. And then I have to do the hood. And then I have to do buttons. So we're getting there. Making progress. I have about 24 hours in which to finish this. I want to explain really quickly how I use the Tailors marks, which you can see right there. Those red spots are the Tailors marks, Tailors Tacks. So those were put where the corners of this are supposed to line up. And I'm gonna kind of keep it more perpendicular to the front edge over here. This is the side, this is the front. So the pocket, but it comes out right where your hand comes out, would go into the pocket so you can get to things easily. Yeah, that is where I'm going to place the pocket, pin that in place. Again, I'll stitch, I'll do a stitch following my top stitching, and then it'll be attached and done. And again, I think I'm gonna end up going back and putting little bar tacks kind of right at these top corners just to help reinforce them so that as the pocket is used, it doesn't pull away. So I'm gonna do that on both pockets, and then just do little tacks to hold them down. Nice little swing tacks here to hold them down. So I want to talk a little bit really quick about pressing. So this has a really nice shoulder, and this is a place where one would use a pressing ham. So after I've gotten the seams all nice and pressed open flat, I can put the pressing ham in here and just kind of give it another round of steam to kind of help it take its shape. Okay, so you can come in with more steam, kind of let it shape itself and drape itself over the ham. Okay, so, and I didn't really I just kind of steamed it. I didn't really touch that to it because I've already got everything nice and flat inside. Really what I'm trying to do right now is just infuse it with steam. Just infuse it with some steam so that it kind of will drape and get that curve. Okay, so I'm having to do my buttonholes because of how big these buttons are, or will be, especially once they're covered. They don't fit inside my automatic buttonhole foot. This only opens to that big of a button. And even my non-automatic buttonhole foot is not quite big enough for this. So I'm having to do this with my regular foot. And just very carefully. So what I've got set up here is I've got this pin, and you can do this a couple different ways. You can mark this with chalk. I like to use pins because I find that they shift less personally, but that's just my opinion. Pins. Don't mind me, I'm very tired this morning. So as you can see here, I just used the pins to mark the top, the bottom, and then the sort of center. I've got that set up the rest of the way down. So I'm gonna go ahead and stitch those and then make buttons, and then everything else is getting done by hand. Okay, so when I'm doing this on the machine without the foot, I'm just making sure that this is really this area. Oh, don't focus there. Okay. Trying to make sure that this area right here is really straight, and putting both hands on each side of this to help guide it forward and back. Then when I get to this back pin, I like the pins because I can see them. I've also got chalk lines drawn here. But then when I get to this back pin, I flip my little automatic buttonhole foot so that it switches to the next step in the buttonhole. That is the one thing that I don't like about this machine, is there's no easy to do manual buttonhole. Look over here. So I've got the automatic buttonhole, and then I could, in theory, I suppose, switch between different zigzags, but there's also no way to make it just Oh wait, yes there is. I forgot. I do have a way to just make it backstitch, but it would be a lot of like futzing with this little knob over here to try and just do an automatic or a manual buttonhole. So much easier, and with this, so it's much easier just to flip my little buttonhole switch. But yeah, it's not too hard. Let me see if I can find my other tripod. Everything is packed this morning. So I don't know if I have my other tripod to film this right now. Yeah. I'm closing up. This is the arm slit. So now I need to close up this. And I am just doing a really simple slip stitch. You go into the side of the fabric, travel a little bit, like I'm barely going somewhere between 1/8 and 1/4, and I'm going into the very edge of this, grabbing about the same amount, teeny tiny amount. And so right below, or right next to that, I'm going to grab this. And then grab bite of the top layer. You know, just your basic slip stitch. Should pretty much disappear. Let's look at that up close. Doing this with my phone camera. I don't like that one stitch. That looks a little obvious, but I'm getting nitpicky at this point. So I'm going to close that up on both sides, just like that. So there was drama making the covered buttons. Don't ever buy the smushy ones. Just I found some right ones. I'm going to show another video separate of how to do correct covered buttons at some point. But so I ended up purchasing these, but I like them. They match this little purple in here. I think she's going to love it. They're just, you know, sewn on. Yeah. So it would have looked really cute with matching covered buttons, but alas, will not happen. Yep, I'm videoing, so you can just do like a little turn. It's so cute.
Pockets. It is just, oh, my hood. Yes.
Now it's covering your eyes. Oh, but it's so cute. It looks great on you.
Absolutely perfect. Oh my gosh, I wish my mom could see it.
Aw.
She would be so pleased.
So you said she brought the tweed back from Ireland?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so pretty.
Yeah.
Like,
it is such a pretty design. I didn't want to just, you know, let it go.
yeah.
Oh, let me show the lining. Lining as well.
Nice.
That is just, wow. Thank you so much.
Oh, well, it was an honor to make it for you, so yeah.
Hey.
So I would absolutely recommend this cloak pattern. It's really easy. It's really great. I super loved it. It was very easy for me to adapt to the hood. I just sort of did a little drape. There wasn't any like super specific way, so I'm sorry that I didn't talk about how I created that hood pattern, but it really was just kind of taking what I knew I had left, like I had laid it out and knew how much I had left, and so I just kind of took a piece of scrap muslin that was the same size, kind of draped it into a hood shape, cut it, figured out where I would put my seam, you know, down the center of it, and kind of made some little adjustments and some little tucks to make it fit the neckline with the measurement that I had. It wasn't super like involved, and since I sort of filmed this sporadically here and there, it's always that's the hardest part, is I just need to work on like creating a better plan for how I film, but since I'm doing it as I'm working on stuff, it's a little hard sometimes. It's definitely one of the things that I wish I had more time to work on. But yeah, this is a great, very easy to use pattern. I love the little pockets. The way that I did it with bagging it out, I think works way better. Bagging out the pockets works way better than trying to like fold them. I do recommend though, if you are gonna just like leave them unbagged out and fold in the bottoms, I recommend either cutting a template of like a piece of cardstock or something, or buying, I know that they make metal and or ironable plastic templates that help you get pocket curves, and like that will literally help you get a nice curve on each side of your pocket. So that would be my recommendation if you're gonna do it without, so that you have something to like press around so you can really get those nice curves on the bottoms of the pockets. Yeah, that would be my one recommendation if you're gonna try this pattern. But otherwise, super easy, super great. Really loved it. Like it has options of like a little stand collar. I think I totally am gonna go through my fabric stash and possibly make something for myself with the same pattern. I have some like green tweed. I also have some like black and red tweed somewhere, that like a houndstooth, that I might, if there's enough of it. I don't know if there would be, but yeah, totally recommended. Thank you so much for tuning in. I really hope that you found some useful information in this. I know that it was a little bit rambly. Yeah, I edited this together about 6 months after I gave this to her. So it's kind of been sitting in bits and pieces, and I never really got to like, I really need to do better at like creating a story for my videos, I guess, perhaps, but I definitely have some more coming up. I'm not giving up on this channel. I just need to find the time to actually work on it. And the only reason why this one got edited is because I have been sick with COVID for the past week and a half. So I'm doing a lot better now. Pretty much out of it. Just a little cough left at this point. So, and yeah, so I'm really appreciative of everybody who watches my videos. I hope that you liked what you saw. Please give me a thumbs up if you did. Feel free to subscribe to me, hit the little bell button so that you know when I post new things, since it's so sporadic. And yeah, please feel free to share my videos and my content with other people. I really appreciate everybody's support in watching my content, and I hope you all have a wonderful week. Bye!